Been lit, boy. Everything goes.
We now return you to regular programming.
All right, guys, tonight it's Thursday, and we have been loaded with guests lately. And tonight we have a really special guest on, somebody that we have been listening to and learning from. We have Carrie Lewis from Girls Beer Sports podcast.
How you doing, Carrie?
Hey guys, thanks a lot for having me. I really appreciate you having me on, especially with some of the guests that you all have had in the last couple of weeks.
It's been a blessing. It's definitely been a blessing.
That has been our COVID blessing, seriously. I mean, it's been
I tell you what,
so easy to get in contact with people.
y'all have got some. When you said you all were going to have Wade Phillips, I was like, oh, I love Wade Phillips because I always felt so bad for Wade Phillips on the sidelines, especially not necessarily when he was a head coach, but when he was a coordinator and his team would make a big play and he'd be on the sidelines and he'd be looking for somebody to slap hands with and nobody would slap hands with him.
But you know what's nice about him is he was like so laid back, easy to talk to. He addressed us by name, where most people just answer your questions. They don't really acknowledge you,
just want to get
as
off.
a person.
Mm-hmm.
But he was just such a humble person. I mean, he told us about Jerry Jones still sends him Christmas gifts, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, no, he's great. He was great. Yeah. Like I said, I don't know how I'm going to follow him. I really don't. I don't get Christmas cards from Jerry Jones. I don't get Christmas cards from anybody.
Now, are you a Dallas fan? Do you watch NFL?
No,
I do watch it. Yeah, I'm a Steelers fan.
There's
Really?
nothing wrong with that. We're up here in Pennsylvania, and we would root for Pittsburgh over the other one.
Definitely.
I try not to publicize that too much on Twitter because I'm friends on there with a lot of Bengals fans, and I don't need the hassle.
I'm a big Saints fan, so it's always a divided household here.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. I could cheer for the Saints.
But you know what? That's one of our one of my hot takes for this year, that if they do play, I think with Ben coming back, that they can win that division. If they split with Baltimore, I think they have a team capable of winning it.
I think so too. Especially, and people are high on Joe Burrow and all that kind of thing. And I'm like, man, yeah, he was awesome at LSU because he was at LSU. Did you see the half a NFL team that LSU had?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? The Bengals, man, I don't know. Their line is still very, very questionable to me. And I always say that you cannot throw the ball sitting on your ass.
No.
And they had the second worst defense in the AFC last year, so it's going to be tough. They're
definitely
going
gonna
to
be a
score
while.
like 30-plus points a game just to be, competitive.
Right, yeah, definitely. And, so far it looks like the NFL's trying to have, some semblance of a season. I think we'll still see where that goes, especially because it seems like every day a couple more players are opting out. More players opt out, right?
I'm losing faith every day. I don't know how it's going to work with everything that's happening. I mean, because you can't put a bubble with the NFL teams.
Well, let's face it. New England has the most players opting out, and that has to be Bill Belichick's master plan. Let's all have everyone opt out, pay them what we're going to pay them, and then we'll tank and get Trevor Lawrence next year.
Yeah, I guess it's in time. I mean, he's, at least his dog's a mastermind, right?
Yeah, did
Evil
you see that on
genius.
draft night there? That was crazy.
Yeah, Nike, right? Well, but I read something the other day that there's a lot of free agents that are opting out because they don't want to take the chance on getting hurt and then next season not being available.
I did see that. I just saw Larry Warford just
Larry
opted out.
Warford, yeah.
Yeah.
He was a University of Kentucky product.
Yeah, great offensive lineman. I just saw that today. Yeah, you're gonna see. I think it's risky. If you just had a kid, it's definitely worth thinking about if you want to opt out or not.
See, my biggest fear is you see what's happening in college right now with all the teams that came back and started practicing. I mean, was it Clemson has 37 players now that have it? Ohio State's numbers are up.
Well, and college football, good Lord, who knows what's going to happen with that. The ACC comes out with their big schedule, 2 days ago, where now Notre Dame is somehow miraculously part of the ACC. And then today, the SEC drops their 10-game schedule that's going to be an all-conference schedule. And they're going to add two more games. I don't know how they're going to do it. I've been watching Feinbaum, and there have been some various ideas about how they're going to do that. But it's definitely a 10-game all-conference in-conference season. And I'm telling you, I tweeted this out. It's to me, it's every conference for themselves now.
Yep.
Big 12 hasn't announced anything. Pac-12, well, if you want to know how I feel about the Pac-12, you'll just have to go back and listen to some old podcast episodes. That's all I'm going to say about that. And the Big Ten, there's the president of Michigan is a virologist, and his straight out come out and said like last month or a month and a half ago that Michigan wasn't going to play football. So they haven't come out with anything. There's no leadership. There's nothing like that. It's every conference for themselves,
Yeah.
and Mark Emmert's still getting a paycheck.
Well, see, I heard something about Michigan that they were $21 million in the hole already from all the testing they've been doing.
Yeah, I didn't see that, but it wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a weird sports time with everything going on.
Of course, our dogs are going to act up tonight. We have Dallas and Dez in the room tonight.
Yeah, my dog Bacon is actually laying over here. I can see her, and she occasionally barks at a shadow or two. But you know what? That's the great thing about an independent podcast and the organicness of it,
Yeah.
because it's like you're in the bourbon room with me.
Yeah. The biggest thing that is going to be hard for football is, you can't put football in a bubble. Like basketball. Basketball has no COVID positive tests.
Either just
since-
MLS or hockey.
Yeah, since they've been in that bubble, which they kick off tonight. And you can't do a bubble with baseball, and you can't do a bubble with football.
I think and it is because of number of players.
Mm-hmm.
So I see what you're saying, because what college football team is a 100-man roster, I think.
Yeah.
What's NFL?
NFL, I think, drops down. It's like 50-something when they start, and then it drops down.
Drops
But
down like
then-
25 on the starting roster, doesn't it?
But the problem with football is they play one day a week. I mean, you would have to find a facility that has at least 3 fields.
Yeah, that's the problem is
You can
fields.
split them up and play.
Right. Yeah, I guess I didn't think about that part of it, but yeah, you're exactly right.
Well, I only heard that today. That's why I brought that up.
Hey, well, everything's changing like literally every 10 minutes. You wake up and you check Twitter, you check, the news or whatever, and things have changed again, right? So, SEC saying that they're going to start September 26th. I think the ACC said September 7th through the 12th would be their football fall sports type of starting dates. But again, who knows? That's, over a month away.
Well, I see Texas came out and said instead of having 50% of the fans in the seats, they're going to have 25% now. And Ohio State said they're only going to do about 20%. My thing is, if you're going to play, you're going to have fans. I mean, because these kids go to school together.
Yeah, and I don't know about that, because they're, you get into issues with season ticket holders, and then who gets chosen, and this, that, and the other, and how are you gonna, social distance people in the stands? Because I guarantee you that your high level season ticket holders aren't going to want to sit in the open air bleachers, because that's where you have to sit to social distance. You can't be down in the bar area watching,
And
at least.
I wonder if the NFL and the college too will try pumping in, crowd noise like MLB has, because I feel like MLB has been very successful with that. I enjoy, if you get a good commentator on there, and I think they do a great job with that.
Oh yeah, so I think that they definitely will. But I think the MLB is much like the EPL did with the crowd noise, where it's on your TV, but the crowd noise isn't in the stadium, but they're still playing music in the stadium, like walk-up
Gotcha.
music and stuff
I didn't
like
know
that.
that. I didn't know that.
But the crowd noise is actually being pumped in through your TV, not in the stadium.
Gotcha.
Well, which one is it? I think it's the Dodgers that's actually using the MLB video game. They're using the fans, like in the outfield and stuff, so it almost looks like there's a crowd.
They've been
out there,
doing
but-
virtual
yeah,
fans on
virtual
your
fans.
screen, and I even
Yeah.
saw there's a situation too, like if they're losing by a lot, some of the fans start to get up and walk out. It's amazing
Now,
what
see,
technology could do.
With the Dodgers, and I made this joke on Monday's show, is the fact that they had cardboard cutouts in the stands over the weekend.
Yeah.
And I turned to the CFO, who is my husband. We call him the CFO because he helps provide the financing for all my podcast equipment endeavors. Anyway, so I said, well, shouldn't they have brought them in and put them in the stands in the middle of the third, and then somebody come in the middle of the seventh and take them all away?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
isn't that how the Dodgers work? At least
Yeah.
that's been my understanding over the years.
Yeah.
Those cardboard cutouts are pretty cool though, because I think people pay for them, but a lot of players are also doing it where like they'll make their family members on it too. But that doesn't look bad either. You know, if
Well,
you get the right camera angle and you zoom in a little bit where you can't like see the empty seats, it kind of looks nice.
If I'm not mistaken, it was either the Cleveland Indians or the Chicago White Sox. One fan alone paid $4,900 for 100 cardboard cutouts of himself
Why?
to put in a section.
That's not.
Oh wow,
worth it.
I didn't. Yeah, I didn't see that.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah.
Well, I'm assuming they're
it's
pricey
crazy.
if it costs them $4,900 to put that
Well,
many
because
up there.
we looked up. We had a very good friend of ours pass away back in March. Not from the Rona. He actually had stage 4 melanoma.
I
But
remember hearing about this.
yeah. He was a huge Dodgers fan, and we just thought of this last week, and we're like, oh my God, we should totally like find a picture of Stewart in a Dodgers hat and like send it. And we started looking, and I think it was like $229
Wow.
Wow.
to like get behind the plate or something like that.
That's crazy.
Well, that's why we had this whole podcast the other night talking about the MLB. It's not going to stop because it doesn't matter how many cases the Marlins have. You know, they're going to keep playing because the bottom line is it's a business and they want to make money and they're looking to make money any way they can.
I also heard though that it's actually kind of good that it happened the way it happened. You know, the MLB always said that they want to be prepared for the worst.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it's good that it happened so early with the Marlins with 14, I think it was up to 17 people at one point.
Now it's up to 19.
Because now it's like, okay, you can figure this out early rather than happen to you like in the playoffs or later in the season.
Yeah, I think the Marlins cases keep going up, and they don't seem to be canceling any games as far as I can tell. There's games going on tonight.
Well, they
what they're-
postponed the
yeah.
Marlins games at least.
They're postponing.
Well,
the
the Marlins, but like I think the Cubs and the Reds are finishing out their midweek series today or whatever, and then I thought somebody else is playing, maybe the White Sox and the Indians or something like that.
Yeah.
But
But
did you-
besides the Marlins though, like everyone's in good. I think there was 2 teams had like maybe 2, and then like there was one that had just 1.
But did you see the MLB is actually investigating the Marlins when they played the Atlanta Braves in that scrimmage before the season started? Several players went out on the town to party it up, and they're investigating them. And they're saying that if this is true, they're talking about actually taking away salaries from these guys,
Wow.
which they
Yeah.
oughta.
Yeah, I mean, and it's personal responsibility, and obviously those guys don't have it. So how can they be trusted with millions of dollars?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard a good point too. You know, you have these young kids, 21 to 25 years old with a lot of money, and you think they're really going to stay, in one area. Like they're going to go out, which sucks. They're not being responsible. And look what happens. You have this situation that's currently happening with 17 people currently, and probably more by now. But that's just what happens.
Well, Carrie,
Yeah.
I've been listening to your podcast for a couple weeks now, actually for a while now. But tell Tyler exactly like what you've been doing as far as your podcast since sports has ended. Like we struggled for a while. We didn't know what to do. We actually took a break from the podcast for a while. Tell them what you've been doing.
Yeah, so actually I've had this idea in my back pocket for a long time, and I'm glad that I kept it there because it was the perfect time to pull it out. Usually we kind of struggle in the summer a little bit, some to fill content. We have we have good segments now that we do, but in terms of like the bulk of like maybe 20 to 30 minutes or something like that of the show. And I thought, well, I have been wanting to do let's do the crown the best sports movie of all time.
Yeah.
And we'll do it in bracket form. But instead of like, trying to pick and choose and just do one bracket, we're going to do it sport by sport.
Yes.
That's awesome.
So Lee sat down one night, and she's one of my co-hosts, and she sent me a list, and she had compiled a bunch of movies in a bunch of different categories. So obviously basketball, football, baseball, golf, hockey, and I think that there's miscellaneous, and there might be one more. I think there's like 6 or 7 categories.
Wow.
And so she had like 18 to 25 movies in each.
Wow.
And I sat down and I looked up some more movies, and we was able to fill in a 32 movie team bracket. And I'm looking at this and I'm thinking we got content for days. days and days and days and days and weeks and weeks. And so, we started out with the football one, and we do just little segments at a time. And then we finished that one, and that took like a month and a half, something like that, a month. We moved on to no, sorry, basketball. Blue Chips won that.
Yep.
Then we moved on to football. That took like another month. And Wildcats with Goldie Hawn
Great
won
movie.
that. Yes, I love that movie. It's like my favorite.
Interesting.
Love it. And so now we're on to baseball, and we still haven't finished the first side of the right side of this bracket. So hopefully we'll do that Monday, and then we'll move back over. And that's going to take at least 1, 2, 3, 4, probably 5 more weeks to crown that champion.
Now in that football one was Longest Yard in that one at all?
Both of them were.
I didn't even know there was a second one.
The original
Yes.
one.
Oh, the original one. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I'm too old. I guess
All
I'm
I
too
know
young
is
for
the Bad News Bears, the original Bad News Bears, went through, and now they're going up against Moneyball.
They are going up against Moneyball.
Oh, that's
yes.
tough. That's tough. That
Yes.
would be very fun to like pick between two movies, break them down, and feel like
Can we
which
put
one.
in our special guest vote right now?
Sure.
Bad News Bears all the way.
Yeah, I think that Lauren, so the way it works is there's 3 of us. There's myself, there's Lee, and there's Lauren. And if 2 people pick one of the movies, then that movie goes through, regardless of what. Now the other person can make their cases if they were going to pick that movie or if they're going to pick the other movie, right?
Mhm.
Because Lauren picked Bad News Bears. I think we all picked Bad News Bears. I think I picked Field of Dreams, but Lauren and Lee
Oh,
picked
that's
Moneyball,
good.
and
That's
that's why Moneyball went through, because Moneyball was going up against Field of Dreams. So
Oh,
that's
wow,
kind of
that's tough. I feel like Field of
Right.
Dreams is
Well, I
better than
remember her
Moneyball.
saying math or dead people or something like that. I was like,
yeah. Lauren was like math or ghosts, right?
Yeah.
Math or ghosts. So yeah, so it's fun, and I haven't seen all the movies on the list, or I haven't seen some of them in a long time. Lauren hasn't seen all the movies on the list. I think Lee's seen most of them because she's a real movie buff, and she really likes sports movies. But we just kind of pick based on, and I read the synopsis of each movie, kind of who's going up against who, in case people listening haven't seen the movie, or it's been a long time since you've seen the movie, and that kind of gives us something to go on to in terms of, we can pick by actor or whatever. It
Yeah.
doesn't
Now,
matter.
have you seen most of those baseball movies? Have you not seen any of those movies?
No. Let's see. I mean, I've seen The Sandlot.
Now,
I've
is that
seen-
still going, or is that
Oh yeah,
out?
Sandlot's
yeah.
great
That
I was gonna say that's one of the greatest ones.
Yeah, The Sandlot. Unfortunately, The Sandlot went up against Ed, which is the Matt LeBlanc movie where he plays baseball with the monkey that's on the team,
Yeah.
right? The chimpanzee. And Lauren loves movies about animals doing jobs,
Oh
yes.
man.
and Lee hates movies about animals in sports. There was no way that it was going to beat The Sandlot. It doesn't matter. And now
No
you have to understand too that this is all random draws, right? This is all random matchups. So I don't take all that time to sit down and be like, okay, this needs to be number 1 against this needs. No,
Yeah.
it's just easier to random pick.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hope Major League's on that bracket because that's
Well, I tell you what, this is the toughest matchup on the bracket, and I hate that it ended up this way, but it's League of Their Own against Major League.
Oh, I would have picked Major League though. I think.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough matchup for us to pick, because that should have been a Final Four matchup, but hey, what can you do?
League of Their Own. That is one heck of a movie.
Well, you know what? That's what I love about your podcast, because you guys come on there, you are laid back. It's not rehearsed. I mean, it's like that was our biggest problem in the beginning. We were like, we wanted to be so politically correct and not say the wrong thing and make sure we knew our stats and make sure it was like we were reading the news, like I said to you before we came on. And then we started listening to other podcasts, and I started like, you know what? We got to change how we're doing this, because this is going to become boring real fast.
Yeah, and that's kind of, when I first started this whole thing, we actually had a 4th person, and she's not with us anymore. She decided it wasn't for her, and that's fine,
Yeah.
But when I first started this, my whole kind of idea behind it, and this is why I have the dynamic with Lauren and Lee and myself, is because I wanted some people, me and Lee, know a lot about sports and can talk statistics if we want, but that's not where our interest is.
Mm-hmm.
And then Lauren, who's kind of like she knows about sports. She's kind of knowledgeable, but she doesn't sit down and watch games. She's more of kind of a passing fan, kind of something like that. But I wanted to be accessible to people who weren't super into sports, to be able to maybe learn something or have some, like talking points and then be entertained. And if you're super into sports, then, you can disagree with me and Lee and yell at the phone or your car radio or whatever, or yell at me on Twitter. I don't care.
Yeah.
But I labeled us as sports attainment.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been a stats person, and I've never been interested in a lot of those shows who are just like stats, or
Yeah, it gets a little
really,
boring.
you're really deep into lineups and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
That's never kind of been what my interest has been with sports anyway.
Well, you know what I like? I like during the day I'll listen to like 105.3 The Fan out of Texas because I'm a Cowboys fan, so I listen to them all day. And like if I hear something that's really really interesting as far as an old stat or something like something that blows my mind, I'll write it down and I'll talk about it on the podcast. But I'm the same way. I don't want to get too much into numbers because I don't want to bore our listeners. But our whole thing is we wanted a name too, like Everything Goes with T and K, because it wasn't just basically sports. We can cross any kind of platform we wanted to.
You say anything or did you say everything?
Everything. I'm sorry.
Everything.
Everything.
You're messing up our own
Everything.
name.
Yeah.
Everything. Well, and that's kind of, where I fell too. And that's why I came up with the segment Take It or Leave It, which encompasses, food, pop culture, sports, movies, television,
Mhm.
all kinds of stuff, because the three of us have all kinds of different interests, right?
Yes.
And that's also why we came up with the tagline, a conversation with girls about beer and sports and whatever else, because it's our show and we do what we want.
Yeah, and I mean, as soon as I saw that on Twitter, I loved that because I was like, man, I've never heard of a girls' podcast talking about sports before. Let's check it out. So that's when I gave you the follow. You followed me back, and rest is history.
Here
But
we
Yeah.
are.
But the one thing I promised my wife was I would never get into religion, politics, and stuff like that. And with unfortunately the way things have been going with no sports, we actually drifted into that a little bit. Like we had two of our guests on African American descent, and we ended up getting into a really really good conversation about Black Lives Matters, the whole 9 yards. And that's the great thing about it. Like we had a great conversation about it, as scary as it was, because you don't ever want to say the wrong thing. It turned out being a great conversation,
It did.
and it was educational
yeah.
for all of us.
Yeah, totally. And I think that stuff is important to talk about, although we really, really, really try to stay away from that
Mhm.
on our show. Just because I kind of want people to have like a respite from that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not that I don't think it's extremely, extremely important, and it's extremely important to have conversations about. But whenever we delve kind of into a political area or go down a political path, we always tell the listener that if they want to hear more about that, they can go listen to Boots and Politics,
Absolutely.
which is actually a fake show that we made up that doesn't exist. It will never exist. And that's why I always say, yeah, you can go listen on Boots and Politics coming quarter till never, because and then we go back to a different conversation.
Yeah, because you know what? Politics, and we just had this whole discussion yesterday, politics, it doesn't matter how much you try to explain things. If somebody on this other side is stuck with what they believe in, you're either going to aggravate them, but you're not going to change them. So it's not even worth going down that road. And we don't want to talk about it really.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? I want all the listeners. I don't care. I don't care who you are.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to listen to my show. I don't care what you believe in. I don't care. Right? I want all the listeners.
You know what's funny too is like when my biggest thing was in the beginning was like we kept looking at numbers, and I didn't want it to become a job where I was focusing on the numbers of how many listeners we were getting. And in the beginning, I tell you what, our first couple of podcasts we did really really well. And then they kind of dropped off, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to look at the numbers no more. But lately, like we're hitting Switzerland, Scotland, France, like places that I've never imagined in a million years that we would be reaching.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we had Slovakia pop on our geostats this week. But that's where the fun lies. Like I tell people all the time, if you're going to start a podcast, you want to start a podcast, you should totally go ahead and start one. But don't get into podcasting for the fame, because it's
tough.
probably not gonna happen, because the saying nowadays is everybody has a podcast.
Oh,
yeah.
That's kind of the mantra out there. But if you're having fun, and keep doing it. You know, see how creative you can be. You know, if you like creating content, keep creating it. And I like looking at the geostats. I think it's fun to see more where people
Absolutely.
are listening than if I got, you know, 1,000 listens this week or something.
Yeah.
Well, this Saturday, we have Mark Sampson coming on. I met him on Twitter. He has a large Dallas Cowboys following over in England. And we adjust our schedule, so we talk to him at 9 o'clock on Saturday morning. It's like the afternoon for him. And then he shares it. But he's got like almost 2,000 followers on the Cowboys of the UK fan page.
Oh yeah, totally. And that's the thing too. You know, it's been great for me doing this, just meeting people like you all. I guested. There's a podcast out there called the Retro Cinema Podcast, and it's out of Australia.
Wow.
And one of the hosts is Gidget Von LaRue. There's some people may have seen her on Twitter. She's always on Twitter talking about
Yes,
80s
I've seen
movies
her.
and talking about. She's great. Her and I became really good friends. And she does an 80s movies podcast. I've been on there twice.
Yeah.
Her and
Wow,
I
that's
did
awesome.
did Fatal Attraction together, and then just about a month ago or a month and a half ago, I went on with her and we did Dr. Detroit. So you know, I've even branched out into not sports.
Yeah.
That's
and-
that's an
and-
amazing part too.
yes.
Is just meeting new people and developing those friendships.
Yeah, for sure, definitely.
Like, this has been a true blessing for us. Because, like, when we first started doing this, we never thought in a million years we would have one guest on other than our friends. And that's all it was in the beginning, our friends just talking sports. And then Tyler, I got to give Ty all the credit because Ty really hits up athletes. Like, I hit him up as much as I can. But he hits him up. I mean, he got Wade Phillips. He got
Rob
Ryan. And he's got a bunch of baseball players lined up to come on. And I give him all the credit. I got you. and I have two sports commentators from Texas to come on. And I got a YouTuber from California. But Ty puts a lot of work into it. He really does. He does all the editing. If I had to do this myself,
I'm the geeky part of it.
I could not. I do the soundboard. I can't do the editing part of it. I'd go nuts.
Well, I tell you what. So we started out in a kitchen with a talking around an iPad with a lapel mic hooked to it. We started out going 30 minutes, then we went to 45, then we went to an hour. And Lord, I can't believe we went an hour and a half on Monday. But you know, whatever it is, what it is. So yeah, you know, I hated the sound of my own voice. I couldn't stand it. You know, I didn't know what I was doing with equipment. But slowly and surely, I kind of really got into kind of just podcasting in general. Decided to upgrade my equipment, learned how to use it on YouTube, learned how
That's
to
where you
edit.
learn everything now is
Yeah.
YouTube.
Yeah.
Exactly, learned how to edit in Audacity and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
And,
that's
you
what
know,
that's what we use. We use Audacity since it's
Yeah.
free.
I've become a sound whore. So
That's why I asked you. I didn't want to use the word whore because I'm like, she might hang up on us. But I heard
Nah,
you say it. I heard you say it in your
Yeah.
podcast that you're the sound whore. I'm like, how do we sound?
yeah, it's true. I'm a sound whore. I'm a self-proclaimed sound whore. Everybody knows this. Everybody.
But you know what? This, like, I gotta be honest. Our last maybe 5 or 6 podcasts, even this one tonight, we have no notes. And that's what makes it more interesting. We're like feeding off of each other as far as questions. I know you like Kentucky. I know you like bourbon. And I know you like the Kentucky Derby.
What about Kentucky Fried Chicken?
I don't know. But
there's better fried chicken in Lexington.
Okay, I like my fried chicken. I like the skin.
Well, see, I have family down there in Kentucky, but they live on the other side of the tracks. They over there by the bird with the teeth, you know, the ones that you guys don't like.
Yes, in the western part of the state.
Yeah, so I've actually been down there for a wedding, and I got to do the Jim Beam tour, the whole 9 yards, and we had a blast. And I got to tell you what, you guys have really, really good barbecue. We went to a place called the Shack in the Back.
I don't think I've been there.
Amazing food. Carrie, we drove up to this place, and it literally looked like a shack off the road. We walked in. I mean, they had plastic for windows, the whole 9 yards. They had the best barbecue I've ever had. And I've been to Texas. I've been to Louisiana. I've been around, and they have really good barbecue.
Well, I mean, any place that looks like that, got it guaranteed.
Oh,
Guaranteed.
absolutely.
Right.
God, yeah. But anyway, you are a University of Kentucky fan.
I am. I am also a 3-time graduate of the University of Kentucky.
I
so,
didn't
Three
see- I didn't
times.
know that.
3 times.
yeah.
know that.
So there you go. Yeah.
What'd you graduate in?
So I have a bachelor's degree in secondary social studies education. I have a master's degree in Russian history, and I have a master's degree in library science.
Wow,
Wow,
awesome.
That's awesome for you. Congratulations.
Yes.
That seems like a lot of work.
I would hit
Yeah.
that. I would hit that little
It-
button that makes the sound effects noise, but Ty doesn't like that.
Yeah. I
It's
like
usually,
I
it's
like
usually
the
really
applause.
loud in my ears, though. He does not control
Yeah, it is.
that.
It is loud. If you don't turn it down enough, the applause can be really
He'll
loud.
like randomly press it when I'm on my phone or something, and it scares the crap out of me.
So I record straight to the board with the SD card, and since Lauren is across town and we have to pull her up on Skype, I can never use the sound pad because I have music programmed into the other side. And if you've got the USB hooked up, you can't use 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah.
So.
Well, see, the thing I have to learn is I didn't get an SD card yet, but I want to learn how to record our intro music onto there and stuff like
It's
that.
super easy because I run all the music, everything through the board. I just hit the button, and that music that you hear at the beginning of the show, I'm hearing when I'm talking. I don't do any of it post.
Oh, that's awesome. See, Ty does all that. See, I'm trying to make it easier on him, but I just have to learn how to do it. But anyway, we got a little sidetracked. My question for you is, what do you like better? Do you like the college basketball or do you like the college football? Because Kentucky's football is actually starting to turn around.
They are, and I'm telling you, other people have asked me this question, and I think that they're surprised by the answer. I'm a bigger football fan. I've always been a bigger football fan. I've always been a bigger college football fan than any other sport on the planet. Period. I grew up a college football fan. That was what was in my household all the time. So yeah, my husband and I met in UK's marching band playing trombone.
Wow.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, and we've been season ticket holders since 1998.
Wow.
So yeah.
That's amazing. I was only 2 years old.
Unbelievable. But see, we're Michigan fans here, so we're.
Man, okay. I'm really gonna. I can't wait to bring you guys on because Lee's a big Ohio State fan.
I don't know if I want to come on.
We really don't have much to talk about there because
I don't have
Tyler
much
and my other
time.
son Noah haven't seen them beat Ohio State in years.
I'll get her. I'm gonna get her to harass y'all on Monday because I'm definitely giving you a shout out for having me on. But yeah.
Yeah, we're huge Michigan fans, and it stinks because we thought bringing Harbaugh in would turn us around. And
Which it did. We can never win the big one.
Yeah, we can't win the big games, and that's the.
I mean,
God.
We also need a good quarterback.
But the thing about college sports that I love the most is these, and I hope it doesn't change. And you're seeing a lot of kids that are top recruits in basketball opting out for the G League, but they come to the sport playing, giving it their all, and it's not about a paycheck yet.
Yeah, you don't see that in the NFL.
They're playing to get to the next level, so you see great football, and I understand why you love it because it's a better game.
I mean, you think about the records too. I mean, there's like how many people that are ranked. You have like if you lose one game, like you're not that that's a big thing in college football.
Yes.
You lose 5 or 6 games in the NFL, nobody really cares on the team because they're getting paid millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Well, and I like I said, I was in the marching band geek, so but I love the pageantry. Saturdays in the fall, hopefully, at least in some semblance of something this fall we'll get that. But I let people know, I'm like, if you want me to participate in your crap, you better not have it between August and the end of November because I'm busy, and that includes weddings, bar mitzvahs, birthdays, or anything else that might fall on a college football Saturday.
Hey, you don't mess around on college football day.
That's how we are here.
I'm telling you, I do not. I absolutely. My husband, so he has to plan his days off schedule way out in advance, and he'll once the UK's schedule is announced for the next season, he'll sit down and start looking at home games and saying, okay, I need to start trying to get off.
Yeah.
That's smart. So you guys watch college football more than you watch NFL, I'm assuming?
Oh yeah, definitely. Even though if the Steelers are on, I'll watch them. I'm kind of passive on a lot of the other stuff. I try to play fantasy. I'm really, really, really bad at it.
It's a guessing game anyway.
I'm in an all women's league. It's really, really just for fun. But NFL's okay. I just like the college game a lot more.
I do too, because they give it their all. I mean, these kids. I mean, like we were talking about earlier. There's like 100 people that are on the roster, whatever it is. You know, these kids. There's someone behind them, so they got to keep playing their best to stay on the field. It's a better game.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I actually think I find the play calling in college football a lot more creative
Oh yeah, definitely.
than the NFL. I find a lot of the NFL play calling to be a little bit milquetoast on some level. It's kind of a lot of the same, but in college, you know, you got people like freaking Mike Leach. That dude is insane.
Yeah.
Like he's certifiably insane.
Yeah.
He thinks he's a pirate, right? But his like offensive mind is just crazy out there, and he'll just try stuff.
Oh,
You know,
some of these plays are insane that they come up with.
You know, when Les Miles is at LSU, he probably called the best fake field goal I have ever seen in my whole entire life. I mean, just, you know, you just don't get that in the NFL, in my opinion.
You don't. You don't get any of that crazy and stuff, really. I mean, you're starting to slowly see some of it with some of these younger mobile quarterbacks, but
But I tell you what, that's why I liked the XFL so much.
that
Honestly,
was cool. Yeah, that was really cool.
We were so enjoying the XFL before, you know, everything got shut down. Like, I really liked the kickoff rule that they had.
Yes.
I liked
Loved it.
the, you know, the going for the 1, 2, or 3 point thing. I liked the game that they were playing.
We were hoping that they would take some of those rules and bring them into the NFL,
But
especially the kickoff.
I tell you what, I know it fell through, but if I was Vince McMahon, I would be trying to bring it back because if college football doesn't play, like they're talking about moving it to the spring,
They need somewhere.
they're
to
not
go.
going to play. Let's face it. A Trevor Lawrence isn't going to play during the draft, and that's what's going to end up happening. These players are going to be playing during the draft. I would be all over that XFL. You know, you offer them $150,000, $200,000 to play for a season, you might get some big names to come play there for a season or two.
Yeah, because I guess rumor had it, what I had read, like, again, this was back in March, into March or beginning of April or something like that, is that there was a capital investment group that was interested in the XFL and buying it and bringing it back for the spring of 2021. Now, I haven't read or heard anything else about that, but, you know, I'd like to see it happen.
You know what? Unfortunately, what it's going to take to get it to kick off, and you need a big name. You need a Johnny Manziel. You need somebody who is not in the NFL but still capable of playing football to come play. I mean, they have the TV package. The TV package was amazing.
Yeah, no, their whole coverage and their TV package was great. Unfortunately, I think Johnny's ship has come and gone.
I hope not.
Yeah, I think he's done.
No, I
done,
think so
done,
too. I think so too.
Dunzo.
So are you an NBA fan at all?
You know, I'm not, man. I can't get into the NBA for kind of the same reasons that with the NFL, that it's just, to me, it's
Boring.
not
Hockey
basketball.
fan?
I mean,
Hockey, yeah?
big hockey fan. Yeah, big hockey fan.
Who do you like? Because there's no teams in Kentucky.
Penguins.
Oh,
Man.
oh, jeez.
Actually, we had a team.
You said that pretty
Here,
strongly,
teach
too.
me how to do the mute button. How do you do? Because we're Flyers fans, and if I'm not mistaken, we just beat you guys the other night in an exhibition game.
Yes, and I was shocked that they went to overtime. I was
Yeah.
surprised that they actually took the exhibition to overtime, but I guess they all needed the extra practice or something. But yeah, you know, I know
Especially the Penguins.
Crosby sucks, blah blah blah.
No,
yeah.
he's a good
doesn't.
player. He's
I
a
ain't
good
gonna
player.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you what, the Penguins have been really, really good as far as their roster goes. I mean, they have some really good people, good names. A lot of my friends that actually follow the podcast and have their own podcast are big Penguin fans, Pirates fans, Steelers fans, and I give them a hard time all the time.
Well, as you should if you're a Flyers fan. I mean, that's the way the world works.
But I think this is going to be really interesting, and I think they kick off this weekend.
Tonight, I think.
I know basketball starts tonight.
Maybe tomorrow night. Maybe NHL's tomorrow night, possibly.
But we're going to have hockey, basketball, baseball. Football camps are opening.
MLS is still playing.
MLS, NASCAR
Yeah.
racing. I mean, it's going to be almost a little bit of normalcy.
Yeah, just a little bit, and then of course you've got people on Twitter like, "What's not gonna last? It's not gonna last." I'm like, man, don't harsh my mellow over
Not
here,
with that
okay?
negativity talk over there.
I'm trying to quit throwing the shade. Just let me enjoy my beer and my sports.
Let's keep the positive vibes over here.
I think like football, I'm not sure yet, but I think baseball. You know,
That's gonna play
I
out, I
don't.
think.
I don't think anything's gonna happen where they're gonna cancel the season, because I think with the amount of people they have on reserve rosters, the whole 9 yards, it's too much money. I mean, it's $1 billion business. They're not gonna shut it down just because of one team. Worst comes to worst, they're gonna reschedule the games. They're gonna probably fine a few players, and they might even give them L's for those games they have to forfeit.
Well, and they can't let the Astros get away with this, right? I mean, baseball. We say on Girls Fear Sports that baseball never forgets,
Never.
and I mean, obviously it doesn't, and they have to let the Astros get their comeuppance. Unfortunately, without the fans in the stands, but there's plenty of I think there's plenty of teams out there besides the Dodgers that are going to be throwing a little chin music.
I don't agree with the MLB did, though. I don't agree with the
I don't
8-game
either.
suspension. I mean, that's equivalent to a 22-game suspension in a regular season. He did, if you notice, of his first 13 pitches, he only threw one strike. That Kelly guy is a wild pitcher.
Oh yeah,
Well,
but
and
he also has a history with Boston of throwing at people intentionally
Yes,
and
yes,
then attending the
yes.
game the next
Now,
day.
don't get me wrong. When he fell behind 3-0, I mean, I think I think he was definitely trying to hit him then, but I don't think he was trying to hit him before then.
No, he wasn't. No, that 3-0 pitch, all day.
Yes.
I loved it though. I loved it.
But
Well, and the dude looks like he should have starred in Moneyball as one of the accountants,
yes,
right? I mean, seriously.
yes, definitely.
The only thing I don't agree with is I agree with him, batters. It's the game of baseball. But like with these guys, when they're throwing 96 on the average, 98, I don't think aiming for the head is a cool thing.
I don't think he was aiming for that.
No. I'm just saying. I'm talking
but,
just out of everything.
But my thing is now, since you suspended him, you just took out inside pitching away from the rest of the league now. Because anytime they throw inside or close to hitting somebody, there's going to be warnings, possibly fines. And how can you fine somebody 8 games when you didn't suspend or fine anyone for cheating?
Yeah, I think that the 8 games was just it was very excessive. But I'm sorry, the face that Joe Kelly made coming off the field is possibly worth the price of the 8 game. I don't know, but 8 games is stupid. I think he was trying to obviously throw a little heat inside. I don't think he was purposely aiming for his head. I mean, to me, if you watch the replay of that pitch where he almost damn near took his head off, it looked to me like it got away from him, tell you the truth. When he was coming over the top, it totally looked like his arm it got away from him.
Well, you know what? Like I said, he did have trouble, and I don't really like him because, he's pitched for Boston. We're Yankees fans, so there's a lot of history there. But I just, Rob Mansfield is really digging a big hole for himself, and they should just let the MLB players police their league, police what they got to do. Eventually, it'll go away. I wish it was a regular season though, because I'd love to see the Astros come to New York. The fans are relentless up there.
Oh God, we were telling people, make sure that you make signs and do whatever else you got to do. Hold on to those signs for next season.
Definitely.
Seriously, again, baseball never forgets. But I really think at this point, I think that the MLB, you have to enforce some rules, but let's kind of make this a little bit of backyard baseball. Come on.
I agree 100%. You know what? Give them all masks. So if they do clear the benches, they have a mask in their back pocket they can put on.
Yeah, and somebody gets mad and throws the ball over the outfield wall,
which
and
is a
stomps
talent.
off,
That's a talent.
It's
a talent to throw the ball from the mound over center field.
Hey, I've done that once. I've done that in the game coaching when we were coaching the team, and the umpire called a balk, and it wasn't a balk, and I got mad and I threw a ball. I don't know if it went over the fence or not, but I was really angry that day.
The balk is my favorite play in baseball.
Why so?
I don't know. I just love it because I think it's so rarely called, but it could be called way more. It's like holding in the NFL, right? If you can say they could call holding on every play, I feel like honestly you could possibly call a balk on every pitch.
You probably could.
Yeah.
One twitch, one bad move.
Yeah.
Well, I have to ask you about something because I know this is something that really sits deep in your heart. The Kentucky Derby.
Yes.
September 5th. Are you going to be going to it?
No. See, it really sucks. I struggled, to tell you all the truth, in May, because we have a huge derby party here every year. Every year. We're talking like 30 people,
Wow.
live band, all that kind of stuff, here at the house. And so it really sucked that we did not get to have that in May. We're kind of hoping, maybe, possibly, I don't know, to have a few people over to watch. But I've actually never attended and never had any desire to attend.
Really?
Wow.
No, it's a lot. I know Lee has attended. She was in the stands though. I just have never. Too many people have never had any desire to be in the infield. Would much rather be at my house with a bunch of people just getting stupid and watching it on TV.
Now, how big of an event is that? Is that like an all-day thing? I mean,
We're talking about the Kentucky Derby, right?
the pageantry
Yeah.
is huge. I mean,
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it's an all. I mean, it starts technically. If you want technical about it, it starts with Thunder over Louisville in April, and that's the big air show, fireworks show that kind of like ushers in the whole kind of Derby season.
Yeah.
And then that week of the Derby, you've got Thurby, which is on Thursday. You got parades. You got, I think they have a half marathon. You got all kinds of different stuff going on. And then Friday is the Oaks, which has become just as big as the Derby. The Phillies run for the Lilies.
wow.
And then, yeah, on Saturday, you have the Derby, and you get started. It's an all-day thing.
So they have
all day.
They have multiple races there then all day.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
See,
Yeah,
I
and
didn't-
actually, the Derby, I think there's races that are after the Derby.
Oh, okay.
Like the Derby's like the 9th race, I think. And
Wow.
then there's I think they maybe have like a 10th and 11th race after the Derby.
But the Derby, of course, is the granddaddy of them all. It's the biggest one of them all day long.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, I didn't realize how big of a horse state Kentucky was until we drove out of it when we were down there. I mean, all you see is pastures.
Well, I would love to have a horse farm.
And the closer to Lexington you got, the bigger the horse farms got.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, we are known as the horse capital of the world. We have it painted on a tank out in water tank out in Versailles, so that's the truth. And we hosted the World Horse Games back in 2000. Oh, I can't remember the date. Mid 2000s, something like that. The World Equestrian Games, which is a big deal in the horse world. And we actually also in Lexington have the Rolex 3-day event, which is a huge in the horse world, where it's the dressage and jumping and cross country racing with horses and stuff like that. And then we also have something that William Shatner himself has competed in, because
Wow.
the Shat is into horses and showing horses, and he competes at the Junior League Horse Show every year here in Lexington.
Wow. Now, Kentucky, and I don't mean to jump around,
Yeah,
but
fine.
Kentucky is a big bourbon state. What? And you're in your bourbon room. You have a bourbon room.
Yes.
What's your favorite bourbon?
Oh man, that's a tough call. Because I actually have another podcast that I do that's twice a month. You can find it on Podbean, iTunes, and Spotify, called Bourbon and Bad Opinions. It's myself, my husband, and 3 of our other friends, and we sit around and we drink a different bourbon, or 2 or 3 or whatever is on the table, and kind of review that, and then just talk about a bunch of crazy ass current event topics and some sports and things. I'm gonna say, I like a good Elijah Craig or Knob Creek. Those are probably two go-tos, or Buffalo Trace. Those would kind of be 3 in the wheelhouse there for just kind of everyday drinkers. There's some other ones. I'm trying to look.
Now, the only one I've ever had was Maker's Mark, and that's because we did the Jim Beam tour.
Mhm.
I tell you what, it's good. It really is. I mean, I don't know a good bourbon from a bad bourbon.
Yeah, I mean, Makers is fine, and the price point on it is fine, and I'd mix it with Coke or something like that. If you're looking for something as like a daily drinker, I would recommend like an Old Forester 1910.
Mm-hmm.
I would also recommend Heaven Hill Green Label if you can find it. The 6-year bottle and bond. The price point on it is fairly good. I think it's like $30 or something like that.
Like we came out there for a wedding, and we went to the Jim Beam place for it was just basically what my cousin was getting married in. Once they found out that he was getting married, I tell you what, that turned out to an all-day event. I mean, when you go into the sample room, you're only allowed like 3 samples, but we were way past that. I mean, I think it was the first time that I've ever felt tipsy coming out of a tour.
Yeah, Beam's good. They make a good one, and I'm blanking. We had it on the Bourbon and Bad Opinions a couple of episodes back. Is a Beam Black Label. I think the price point was like $35 or $40, and unfortunately, I cannot remember like the rest of the year on it or whatever. But it was a solid drinker. Beam actually makes some good products beyond the white label.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, they have all those different flavors now. I mean, what's the difference between a bourbon and a whiskey?
So it's all about the mash bill, right?
Okay.
So bourbon has to be a certain percentage corn to make it bourbon. A lot of people think it's got to come from Kentucky, and it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's all about the corn ratio and that kind of thing, and it's all about the mash bill. Is what they call it.
Well, I know during the tour we tried, I guess they call it White Dog, before it goes into the barrels, because it's like 180 proof and it bites you in the ass. That's why they call it White Dog.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's legit. That's legit.
Yeah, no, that'll get you. And so, like, when you do a lot of those tours too, they'll a lot of times have the mash in the tanks, and you can smell it, and they'll let you put your finger in and taste it, and it's pretty yeasty and fermenty and that kind of thing. But yeah, bourbon does not have to come from Kentucky. In fact, I have had some bourbons from New York and some other places that were not good, but that is neither here nor there. But the bottom line is, it's all about the recipe.
Okay. See, I
didn't know any of that stuff.
Well, the tour, it kind of tells you all that stuff, but we were drinking before we got to the tour because we went to the waiting room upstairs, and you kind of forget about things like they tell you.
Oh, I bet.
Sure.
I just remember sticking my face towards the mash and my cousin trying to push my face into the mash, and it was a long day. But, Carrie, before we let you go, I made a little bracket for you, and it's basically going to be a championship bracket for each one, and you just have to pick one of each.
All right.
And the first one is going to be John Calipari versus Tubby Smith.
Oh, man. So I lived through both of those, right? And I do like Tubby. I think that they should bring Tubby back to honor him at this point. There's a lot of misnomer out there as to why Tubby left and that kind of thing. I think Tubby just got tired of the constant grind that is UK basketball.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's almost akin. I tell people it's almost akin to being president of the United States. You see these guys go in, their first term or whatever, and they look pretty fresh and good, and then maybe they get another term and they come out on the other side and you're like, damn, you aged like 20 years. Right? You know what I'm saying? So, I think he got a little bit tired of the grind and wanted a venue change. Cal will never, I don't know, man. That dude, he's crazy. Like, he is crazy. And I think that this quarantine thing has made him a little bit crazier. I hope he doesn't go like full Howard Hughes. He's grown a mullet and a bunch of other stuff, or he's let his hair grow out long.
Oh man.
Yeah, they both have a championship. Man, that's a tough one. That's really tough. I guess I'll go with Cal.
That's a good choice. I mean, you couldn't go wrong either way. And you know what's funny? My cousin who lives down there, he's a Kentucky basketball fan, but he's a Louisville football fan. He's confused.
Man, I hate that. It just, if you're gonna be a fan of the team, just be a fan of the whole thing. I can't get on that.
Now your next one's gonna be a little tough because the arena's named after this guy.
Yeah.
Adolph Rupp versus my favorite coach, Rick Pitino.
Oh God, Adolph Rupp. Come on. A, he probably lasted more than 15 seconds. B, he is dead and stayed dead instead of trying to coach undead or whatever. And C, he had the sense enough that when they forced him into retirement, not to go to a rival.
Yeah. I was gonna ask you about that too. How do you feel about that? Rick Pitino leaving Kentucky to go to Louisville.
Oh wow.
Well, he had that minor stop with the Celtics.
Yeah.
But
Don't count that. He doesn't seem to turn out well in the NBA.
no, and he is a shell of his former self.
Yeah. But there's a lot of things going on with Louisville and stuff with him. So.
Yeah, but he knew what he did.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, we're going to get into your love of your lives now. Okay? Bourbon versus all the IPAs.
Oh man, I guess it depends on what bourbon. God, my palate's been so blown out by bourbon, in terms of drinking like really high proof stuff. Like we're talking like 110, 120.
Jeez.
That kind of stuff. That's a lot of what we drink on the show. We if it's 90 proof, we're like, oh man, this literally didn't taste like anything.
Well, it makes for a better show.
Right. It makes for a better after show.
Yes.
I tend to be more of a daily beer drinker than a daily bourbon drinker. So I'm going to go with all the IPAs.
Perfect. All right, and then the last one, all the University of Kentucky sports versus the Kentucky Derby.
Oh, man, I love the Derby party so much, but I love football even more, I think,
Even more.
because of the tailgating, and I get like 6 or 8 tailgates versus one giant party.
Yeah,
So I think I'm going to go with all the UK sports.
that's awesome. Well, Carrie, it has been an absolute honor to have you on. Like I said, you're one of the groups that we followed. It really changed our whole podcast around how we do things and stuff. Loved having you on. Hope we didn't bore you for an hour.
No, this is a lot of fun. I really appreciate it, and we'll have to have y'all on. I may though have to put you on the Skype video.
Oh, that's one thing we were talking about getting into. We just never got there yet about Skyping.
Yeah, I actually just I like Skyping better for podcasting. I think that the definitely well over Zoom. I like the audio quality that Skype has.
Yeah.
But no, this has been a lot of fun. We'll have to definitely have y'all on for sure.
Yeah.
So that
awesome.
that you and Lee can get into it about Michigan and Ohio State, and I'll just sit back and laugh.
It's gonna be a short argument because I have nothing to defend myself. The only thing I can do is hold up my Michigan jersey that's sitting behind me, my Peppers jersey. I just hold it up to the camera so she can't see me.
Yeah.
But
well,
I appreciate you coming on.
Hope you and your family stay safe.
Yes, hope the coronavirus isn't hitting anyone in your family and you guys are safe down there. That's one thing we were going to talk about. We forgot all about it, but hope you're safe.
yeah, absolutely. My husband is a pharmacist. He's a essential employee, so he's been going to his job every day ever since this happened. So
yeah. My wife's a nurse, and they just had a 19-year-old female patient, and she's on a vent now, which is sad.
I mean,
it's crazy.
The whole thing's nuts, and you don't know what it's gonna do to who or how, or I don't know.
Yeah.
So you just gotta do what you can do in terms of social distancing, wearing a mask, all that kind of stuff.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, well, we're going to end this. Like I said, we appreciate you coming on, and we would love to join you whenever you want us on. You have my cell phone number. You can either text me or hit us up on the Twitter. And once Tyler does his job, there's going to be no editing, and this was actually a pretty good podcast, we'll get it up, and I'll tag you on it.
Sounds good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Have a great night.
All right, thank y'all. See you.
Bye-bye.
That was awesome.
Those are the podcasts I love. No notes, just three people talking about everything. It makes for a great podcast. It really does.
I've had to pee so bad since 20 minutes.
Well, you could have went to the bathroom.
Yeah, we're at an hour mark, dude. I was sitting here like shaking at one point. I was like, do I just go or not?
But seriously, listening to their podcast and listening to Alex Evans's podcast,
it's nice to
really
connect with other people.
Has
It's
changed
cool.
how we do ours.
We've met a lot of people. It's
Yes,
awesome.
and it's great to have friends in the podcast world that we can shoot the shit with and get ideas from.
what's nice is that she took us an hour, so now all the notes today we can just talk with Mark about. Mark, right? His name's Mark, right? Mark Sampson.
Yeah, Saturday.
Okay, I didn't want to say his name.
But go check out Girls Beer Sports. She's
Yes.
on all the platforms. They have great stuff.
Follow them on Instagram,
yes,
Twitter.
everywhere. Continue to follow us. Continue to spread the love, and hope everyone stays safe when these hard times that are going on. And that's all I got.
Hope you guys have a good one.
Go Yankees, Flyers, over the Penguins any day of the week.